welcome to Blackbriar Gaming. Today we have something very exciting. They have dropped. We have some Horus Heresy 3.0 3rd edition leaks. That's right. These just landed hot in my inbox very recently. What I am doing right now is a first impression of these leaks. Do we know if they're correct? Look, they look pretty real to me. I'm going to say they look legit. If they're not, well done to whoever made them up. But I want to go through the images that we've got. There's about 20 or so. I haven't read them yet. This is very much a first impression. I am hot off the excitement of receiving these. Okay, I will go into more detail with them in other videos where I break them down, analyze them, but I just wanted to get the leaks to you, get them out there. I'm not affiliated with Games Workshop, so I can get away with these kind of shenanigans. But before we get into it, a quick reminder that the Blackbriar Gaming Discord and Patreon are now live. Check the video description below for links to both. And as always, a huge thank you to my Patreon members. You're the ones making this channel possible. Please excuse me for my voice. It may sound a bit croaky and there may be a few coughs. I am still recovering from a cold, but that in no way is going to stand between me and a bunch of Heresy leaks. I dare say you can hear the excitement in my voice. Let's get into it. All right, first thing here, nothing overly exciting. Shred. We have the Shred rule. So attacks made with the Shred special rule can sometimes inflict an extra point of damage. Love that bolded rule. So if we go into it deep, essentially the dice roll is resembled in that X piece there, and while you're rolling to wound, if you roll whatever that number is in the X, let's just see, yep, that looks about right, or higher, you inflict an extra point of damage when you wound with that attack. So we know what Shred does. Look, we're going to go through them pretty fast and wild. As I said, I'll get into more detail in other videos that follow. Now we start to get into selecting units for detachment. So here comes the Force Org stuff that we've only been hinted at so far. We know barely anything about it. So here we go. When selecting units to fill detachments, players must follow certain rules and conditions. These basic rules apply to all types of detachments when using the Crusade Army selection process. Crusade Army, that's interesting. Is that a type of special gameplay? Is that your regular games that you play? Not entirely sure. Certain types of detachments may have additional rules and restrictions. Those will be presented separately. Each detachment is composed of a number of Force organization slots, and each Force organization slot may be filled by a unit from the army list selected for the primary detachments. All right, so we've got primary and secondary detachments here. Sounds vaguely familiar. The battlefield role of the unit selected must match that of the Force Org slot. Then we've got a Crusade primary detachment here, which sounds like just one of many detachments that you can select. It's the Crusade Army selection process that has me interested here. Here we can see, so that one up the top, and I think there's another picture that goes into more details, but that's your high command slot. That's like your one, Praetor, for instance. You've got 3 command slots. I imagine that's Centurions and Consuls. You've got 4 troop slots. Excuse me. That'll be your tactical squads and your breaches and your assault squads and stuff like that, I imagine. And then you've got, where is it? Where are we up to? 4 transport slots. That's interesting. 1 for each of your troop slots there. A player selecting units to fill this detachment may choose to fill any or none of the slots as they choose, but may only select units matching the slots available. Okay. For example, a player selecting units for a Crusade primary detachment cannot select units whose profile lists them as armor. Yeah, alright, so no tanks if you're taking this detachment, as there are no Force Org slots with the armor battlefield role. However, that player could select between 1 and 4 units whose profile lists them as troops choices. The unit selected would not need to be the same unit or have the same options, but must be a troops unit. Interesting here. So we've got the little pointy circles clearly seem to be the mandatory ones, and I think that's in another page as well that goes into that. I had a brief skim, right, of a few of the pictures, but you have some flexibility in how you build out that detachment. Now, each unit selected as part of a detachment will fill a Force Org slot. No more units may be selected using it. In addition to filling it up, each unit selected will also use up points for the army. Sure, this is all kind of basic stuff. The total points value must be lower than the points limit for the battle. Yep. Yep. Once each Force Org slot in a detachment has had a unit selected for it, or the army's points limit is reached, no further units may be selected for that detachment. A player may also choose to simply leave some Force Org slots empty. That's absolutely fine. Once a player has finished selecting units for a detachment, they may, if they have not yet reached the points limit, select another detachment to fill. Alright, very good. Has finished selecting units for detachment, but I imagine you have to fill the mandatory slots in that detachment first before you then move on. Select another detachment if the army includes any other detachments. If the army includes no other detachments, all Force Org slots that are available have been filled, or points limit reached, no further units selected. So we've got detachments. We know that much. The detachments say what kind of units you can take in them. They have mandatory ones and non-mandatory ones. Now, they did say it was going to be a lot freer. So I'm interested in that if the Crusade army selection process, if Crusade games are just one type of game you can play, and that's what we'll mostly see in tournaments, if there's other styles, maybe we'll find out more over the next few pages. Let's keep going. Prime slots. Some Force Organization slots in a detachment may be marked with that starry kind of circle there. They're prime slots, and they retain the battlefield role indicated, but if selected and filled with a unit, they offer an additional benefit. So here was that additional benefit they were talking about. For each prime slot filled in a detachment, the controlling player may select one prime advantage from the options shown below. So if we go back, we see we've got 2 prime slots in the Crusade primary detachment. So you'd be able to get what looks like 2 prime advantage. That's interesting. Some prime advantages add benefits to the detachment that includes the prime slot, while others add benefits to the unit selected to fill the prime slot. In all cases, the prime advantage will state what benefits it provides and where they are applied. If the unit chosen to fill the prime slot includes any models with a unique subtype, then the only prime advantage that may be selected is logistical benefits. So that's interesting. So it's really encouraging you to not have characters, essentially. If a prime slot is your high command, for instance, which it didn't look like that previous detachment was, but if it was, theoretically, by taking a named unique character, you get less flexibility in the prime advantages you can select. So core prime traits. These seem to be all maybe, of the prime advantages. I have no idea. But we've got some core prime traits here. Master Sergeant. One model in the unit selected to fill the prime slot that has the Sergeant subtype gains +1 attack, weapon skill, and leadership characteristic. Alright, that's fun. This advantage may only be selected once per detachment. Okay. Combat Veterans. All models in the unit selected to fill the prime slot gain a bonus of +1 to their leadership, cool, intelligence, and willpower characteristics to a max of 10. I think that's going to be pretty popular. Yep, very good. Paragon of Battle. One model in the unit selected to fill the prime slot that has the command subtype gains a bonus of +1 to its attacks, weapon skill, and ballistic skill. Now, there was debate on whether sergeants would have the command subtype and be able to accept challenges or issue challenges, and it implies here that one model in the unit selected to fill that has the command subtype. Oh, look, maybe. No, see, I think otherwise, Master Sergeant and Paragon of Battle would be pretty similar, right? So I think Paragon of Battle is implying, like the leaks are implying stuff, that only, Centurions and other such models, Praetors and whatnot, characters, not so much Sergeants, will have that command subtype there, and therefore we'll see a lot less challenges. But let's keep going here. Special assignment. This prime advantage may only be selected for a command slot. A command slot for which this prime advantage is selected may be filled by a high command unit, but remains a command slot. Sure. Moreover, no additional attachments of any kind may be selected due to this slot, regardless of their battlefield role or any special rules. What is this saying? A command slot for which this prime advantage is selected by a high command. Okay, so we saw before there were like the line commanders as opposed to the high commander. This would allow you, I imagine, within that detachment we saw previously, to take 2 Praetors instead of just 1, is what this is going about here. Next, logistical benefit. So this is what unique characters can have if filling a prime slot. And look, I'll make mistakes while going through these leaks, people. This is just my initial read-through of them. Logistical benefit. Add 1 additional Force Org slot to the detachment that includes the prime slot. This slot may be of any battlefield role. Okay. Other than High Command, Command, Warlord, or Lord of War. So it lets you take an armor option, for instance, in the detachment that we saw before. You get to put different kinds of units in. Designer's note. More veteran readers may note that prime slots are similar in appearance to what was once called compulsory choices. Sure do. Despite that similarity, the two have little in common. This edition of the Heresy game does not feature any form of compulsory choices that force players to take certain units. Instead, prime slots offer bonuses to those players that choose to fill them and select more standard forces. So you don't have to. If you go back to that detachment before, maybe you just want to take a single Praetor from it. I don't know why you would, but that's the kind of idea, right? So you don't have to fill the prime slots within the detachments, but if you do, you then get these prime advantages. And these prime advantages are great, so I don't know why you wouldn't do that. But we got to keep moving. All right, as shown, an army selected using the Crusade Force organization chart, so it's definitely a type of organization chart. It'll be interesting to see if there's more Force Org charts. If you don't have to take a Crusade Force organization chart army, whether they're just used for certain games, I don't know. We'll wait and see. Must include a primary detachment and may always include any number of allied detachments and up to one Lord of War detachment. All pretty familiar. It may also include any number of auxiliary detachments. Is this from Heresy 2.0? I can't remember. It's very Legions Imperialis from memory. But I'll keep reading. I don't really have time to dig back into books and see if it all matches up or not. I'll do that later. The number of auxiliary or apex attachments available to a given army is determined by the number of command and high command force organization slots filled in any detachment in the army. Okay, that's interesting. So here, battlefield roles, we've got that high command that we were talking about before. We've got command, you've got warlord, which is where the Primarchs can come into it, and a few other powerful warlords, like Valdor, for instance, I imagine. Yep, sure, no more than 25% of its point limits on units with either the warlord or Lord of War battlefield role. So in 2,000 point games, that means you're not going to be seeing Primarchs, right? Only in bigger games, which I'm absolutely fine with. Right, high command, you've got retinue, you've got elites, you've got war engines, that's your dreadnoughts, very fair. Troops, support, support troops that aid other warriors in the completion of their duties, interesting. Lords of War, transport, heavy assault, heavy transport, armor, recon, and fast attack. All right, down the bottom there, the different types of detachment available in the Crusade Force Org chart all have a number of rules that apply only to that type of detachment. All right, understanding these roles and the role each detachment type plays when selecting army is crucial to assembling a force that is both powerful and flexible on the battlefield. So it sounds like detachments, number of rules, certain detachments will have certain special rules that go with them. Very like 7th Ed 40k from memory, where you had a whole bunch of detachments. Now, it did get slightly out of control, but it does make for very interesting list building. But I'm not here to talk about the pros and cons. We're just here to look at the leaks, people. The Crusade Force Org chart lists all the potential core detachments that may be taken in an army, though depending on a player's choice, not all of these detachments will be available. Future publications may add more detachments to those potentially available. Cool. These are not considered core detachments and may be limited to armies of a certain faction or other limitations. In all cases where new detachments are added, then the rules for how they may be included in an army will be presented alongside them. So here we've got the Crusade Force Org chart. We've got that primary detachment that we looked at before, which seems to be the only core. Like you start with that. That's the go-to. And then from there, you can add additional attachments. You've got the Warlord detachment piece. That's like a Primarch or a Lord of War by the looks of it. A command squad. Heavy transport is what that bad boy is. So Primarch, heavy transport, command squad. Well, that makes sense because your Primarch wants a command squad in a Land Raider, right? And can only be selected in 3,000 point plus armies. Interesting. All right, very good. Then you've got your Lord of War detachments. Once again, cannot exceed 25%. Of army total. You've got an allied detachment, which must be a different faction than primary. All right, cool. Can include auxiliary detachments. Interesting. And what can you have in that? You can have a command, 2 commands, and some troops in that one. Then you get into your auxiliary detachments. You've got an armored fist, which is a bunch of transports and heavy transports. By the looks of it there, you've got tactical support, where you've got some troops and those supporting forces. You've got armored support, which is a bunch of tanks. Heavy support, which seems to be a single dreadnought choice. It's almost like it's... Yeah, no, okay. Not many primes. There's no prime choices in any of these auxiliary ones, which is interesting. You've got Combat Pioneers, Shock Assaults, First Strike with a bunch of fast attack stuff in it. Sure. We then come down to the Apex Detachments. Now, what did it say before about Apex Detachments? The number of auxiliary or Apex Detachments available to a given army is determined by the number of Command and High Command Force Org slots filled in any detachment. That's interesting. So, you can only have one auxiliary detachment for each command slot, or high command, I imagine it said. Yeah, slot filled. So if your army has a Praetor and a Centurion, for instance, that will open up 2 either auxiliary or Apex detachments. So you have to unlock the size of your army grows by your command, essentially, which makes sense. The more commanders you have, the more leadership they can spread throughout the army, and then it can grow into different directions. Interesting. It's actually quite detailed. I would say less flexible than 2.0, but in an interesting way, noting that there might be other kind of org charts, right? Okay, that's that. Let's keep moving. Reactions. We're now into reaction town. Okay, we're moving fast. I'm not going to read through all these because it simply would take too much time, but we'll go into them in depth in another video. But what have we got here? Reaction allotments. Okay, it looks like all players, unless a special rule or other effects, have a base reaction allotment of 1. This means that at the start of each player turn, the reactive player has 1 reaction point. So here's that reaction point stuff that we were talking about. In addition to this base reaction allotment, all players receive additional reaction allotment points based on the points limit of the battle being resolved. Okay, so if you're playing between 1500 and 3000, which I imagine will be most games, you get plus 1 reaction point. So you get to make 2 reactions in your turn. Players may also gain additional bonus reaction points from other special rules and such and such. Alright, you can't do reactions if you're stunned, routed, locked in combat, etc., etc. Bunch of rules about using reactions that I won't go deep into now, but we'll have another look at another time. Alright, we've got some core reactions here, these photos. Someone's grabbed out the potato cam and just gone for it, right? We've got some shadows on these pages here. This is peak leaks, people. This is what it's about. This is what we're here for. Alright, movement phase, reposition. Yeah. Alright, I'm just going to name them. You can read them on the screen if you're that way inclined. You can come back for another video in the future. In the shooting phase, we've got return fire. That sounds familiar. Assault phase, Overwatch. Sure. This reaction allows the player to make more powerful volley attacks. Yep. Alright, advanced reactions. Interesting that there's core and then advanced. Do we have the advanced reaction links? We sure do. Death or Glory. This advanced reaction allows a unit that a vehicle has moved through to attack the vehicle. Intercept. This advanced reaction allows a unit to attack units moving into play from reserves. Evade. This advanced reaction allows a unit to attempt to evade an enemy charge by moving, so running away. Nullify. This advanced reaction allows the reactive player to attempt a willpower check to negate a psychic curse. There we go. So not all units can resist psychic powers. You have to use a reaction to do it. So all units can theoretically do it. You don't get to do it for free. You have to use a reaction point to do it. That's cool. That's new. Note that a nullify is both an advanced reaction and a psychic reaction. Oh my goodness. So many things. We've got heroic intervention here as well. Yeah, that's all the advanced reactions. And this is allows the reactive player to declare challenges. That one we have heard about. All right, but we're moving on. We haven't got time, people. We're moving on fast. Fast and furious. All right, here we've got a bunch of the tactical statuses. We know about these already. The pinned, suppressed, stunned, and routed. But obviously a lot more rules here. A lot of rules in that routed status. The following rules apply to any unit that includes one or more models that have been routed. That'll be all about what you can and can't do. We've got some designer notes. We're moving on. Tactical status represent the morale of troops on the battlefield and can be key to controlling the enemy's options during a battle. There was some interesting stuff here that I skimmed through. That makes a charge always counts as disorder. We knew that one already. Cannot hold, claim, or contest objectives. May never gain any benefit from being stationary. This is an interesting one. So your heavy weapon squads, even if they can still fire, they won't count as stationary while being, pinned, for instance. So they won't be able to move, and they won't be counted as stationary. So they won't get those bonuses for those heavy weapons, which is interesting. Let's see, models with the vehicle type can be affected by all statuses except routed, but as they don't have a cool characteristic, they cannot fail a cool check, and statuses can only be applied to them by specific rules or the result of a roll on the vehicle damage table. Vehicle damage table, it's still in, people. Don't freak out. Vehicles are still vehicles. A unit that includes any models with the giving status that would gain that same status. There's no additional effect. Blah, blah, blah. Moving on. All right, once all, okay, that's it. We're going from tactical statuses. We're now over in vehicle damage chart, because I know people were very interested in this. This person's obviously like picked and chosen what they've managed to take a snap of in what I guess people were most interested in. Resolving damage. Once all armor pen tests have been resolved, so not to wound, vehicles don't have wounds, people that don't have toughness, the following effects are applied to the model based on the results. We've got glancing hits, roll, yep. That sounds pretty similar in step 11. Step 10, oh my goodness, wild. For each penetrating hit, the target suffers 1 penetrating hit, yeah, all right. If available, any saving throws or damage mitigation may be made. Yeah, if not discarded due to a saving throw, the model will lose a number of hull points equal to the damage characteristic of the penetrating hit, okay, which is decided by the characteristics of the weapon. Yeah, whereas a glancing hit inflicts no damage. That is interesting. So no damage from glancing hits, but you do still roll on the vehicle damage table, whereas penetrating hits do the damage of the weapon and then still roll, I imagine, on the table. Which is decided. Maybe not. Hang on. For each penetrating hit, available any appropriate goes through. If not discarded, number of hull points, which is decided by the characteristics. Maybe you don't roll on the vehicle damage table unless it's a glancing hit. Maybe penetrating just does the damage and glancing does the impaired senses, broken motors, or weapon damage. That's interesting. So vehicles just a lot tougher across the board for multiple reasons here. So this is how you get your tactical statuses on your vehicles. It can either become stunned, pinned, or suppressed, depending on what is rolled on the damage table, but no explodes, thank goodness. If a model that, as we suspected, if a model that has a specific status would have them applied to them again, then they instead lose a single hull point. Now that's how you do it. That's how the glancing hits still get the hull points through, right? Cool. All right, removing vehicle models as casualties. Not going to go into it much now, but if it gets to 0, it's removed by the looks of it, and they get wrecked. Great, and then count as cover. No exploding. No exploding from here, at least. Vehicles, wild. All right, we've got fly rules. This is how aircraft work, people. I'm not going to go into it now, because this video is already getting pretty long. We've got advanced reactions. Combat air patrol. All right, so flyers get their own advanced reaction. Other things might as well. Combat assignments. Drop mission. Once assigned a drop mission in the reserve subphase, a model must be immediately placed onto the battlefield. What is happening here? Look, different types of missions, I suppose. I'm not going to go deep into it. Maybe this is just for flyers, because drop mission and extraction mission sounds very specific to flyers. Here we go. Reserve tests have been passed for a model. The controlling player must assign it to a combat assignment. So you've got to choose when you bring your flyers in, it seems. And I imagine, is this just for flyers? Is this for all reserves? I think just aerial reserves, right? It's land the model with the flyer subtype. If you're doing a drop mission, and allow any embarked units to disembark before the model with the flyer subtype returns to aerial reserves. Okay. Then you've got strike missions and strafing runs. So you're choosing what your flyer, here's the strike mission and strafing run. You're choosing what kind of mission they're doing when they're coming in from reserves, and then that defines what they're up to and then what they do subsequently from there. Interesting, just an added layer of depth to flyers there. But we're moving on. We haven't got time. All right, bunch of special rules here. I'm just going to read the bolded piece, come back and read them all in depth at your own leisure. Bulky. Models with the bulky special rule take up more space on transport models. Yep, that sounds familiar. Attacks made with the critical hit special rule have a chance to automatically cause a wound and inflict 1 extra point of damage. We saw critical hit. Who was it? Was it on Sigismund's sword, maybe? Deep Strike allows a unit to enter play anywhere on the battlefield. People are going to love reading into that Deep Strike rule, and I will at another time as well. I know Deep Strike was pretty contentious in 2nd edition, what you could get away with. Firing protocols may attack with more than 1 ranged weapons. You've got Force, where you have to make a willpower check to do what you need to do with that. Hatred. The Hatred special rule grants bonuses against enemies of a specific type. That's the same. Weapons with the heavy gain +1 to a characteristic when stationary. We already know that. All right, now we're past it. We're now deep into the challenge subphase. All right, this is how, the disgrace status. Rough. A model with the disgrace status, I imagine you get the disgrace status when you decline a challenge, has its weapon skill and leadership characteristic halved for the duration of the assault phase. Ouch. All effects that would normally apply to a unit that includes a model with a status affect any models, so you can't capture objectives and such anymore. Including being reduced to a combat initiative of 1. Unlike other statuses, the disgrace status is automatically removed at the end of that phase. Play a turn, yep, blah, blah, blah. Cool, alright. So, it looks like they still get to attack, but they're disgraced. So they wouldn't be attacking the model that challenged them, I imagine. They're attacking the unit. But look, lots of rules here about challenge subphase. We've got a bunch of the core gambits here. What do we got? We've got Seize the Initiative, Flurry of Blows. We've got Test the Foe, Guard Up, Taunt and Bait, Grandstand, Feint and Riposte, which we saw, Withdraw. So this is how you get out of that challenge, by the sound of it. Finishing Blow goes into the the focus piece there. Outside Support, that's how your other models help, and it looks like they're giving +1, but I won't read through it now. That's another time. Moving on. Strike, and then Glory. That's how it all works. And then the Challenger and Challenged returned units as appropriate. Read these in your own time. I'm moving on. What do we got now? Ranged Hit Test Table is used to determine the target number for ranged hit tests. And this is interesting. What are we looking at here? Snapshots. Okay, snapshots are now different due to ballistic skill. That's kind of cool. So a ballistic skill 4, which is your regular Space Marine, hitting normally on a 3+, sure. What is this C business? The better it gets, I see. So if you miss on that first shot, if your ballistic skill is 6, you then get an attempt to hit on a reroll on 6+. Very cool. So if your ballistic skill is 9, you're hitting on a 3+ and then a 3+ again. And if your ballistic skill is 10+, does that A just mean automatic? Is that what we're seeing here? Who can say? It's wild. The snapshots is cool, so snapshots is now just not automatically 6+ across the board. If your ballistic skill's a bit better, like your basic Space Marine, it's going to be a 5+. Or if your ballistic skill 6, a 4+. Ballistic skill on the higher levels now mattering quite significantly. Love to see it. There's more down the bottom there. Yeah, automatic ballistic skill 10. That's cool. All right, we won't get into that. Read that another time. We'll come back. Oh, we're back to other special rules. These are all over the place, people. These leaks have not been sorted. They've not been put in order. It is chaos. It's mayhem. These have just dropped. Explodes. A model with this special rule can explode and may cause hits to nearby models and units. So things can still explode. There we go, but only with the explode special rule. Maybe Dreadnoughts, for instance, might have that, right? When they're reduced to 0 wounds. Or is this only for vehicles? No, it could be, by the looks of it. Says, yeah, all right, maybe. Fast, a unit that only includes models with the fast special rule gains a bonus to rush and charge moves. Rush moves, hey? Fear, models near an enemy model with the fear special rule must reduce their advanced characteristics, all of them. That's cool. Feel no pain. Damage mitigation tests that may be taken in addition to a saving throw sounds the same. Moving on, suppressive. Weapons and other attacks that have the suppressive special rule have a chance of inflicting... We know that already, don't we? And that's it. I think that's it. I think we've gotten to the end of the special rules. All right, and the end of the leaks. Well, that was a wild ride. Okay, so enjoy going back and looking through all of those, or if you've been pausing the video as I've been going, that works too. As I said, I will be going back and doing videos on segments. I'll probably do one on the special rules that we've seen. I'll probably do one on the reactions in general. I'll probably do one on flyers. I'll do one just on the Force org chart stuff. But it's great to see some leaks come through. Some leaks, they always get me real excited. And hopefully this will start to alleviate people's concerns that vehicles are still vehicles. They're just a bit tougher. Force org charts still exist. They're just a little more detailed and a little more interesting. All in all, I've liked pretty much everything that I've seen so far in the leaks. We'll need to go into more detail with them to see if that remains true. But that is enough for today. I'm going to get busy and start going deep into them. I hope you've enjoyed this video, but importantly, make sure to keep rolling dice and getting hyped for Heresy.